But I will mention this, kind of some breaking news. It was revealed earlier this afternoon as we speak on Thursday. New look for the commentary teams I'm talking from an announcer standpoint, commentator standpoint, interviewer standpoint on all three brands, Raw, SmackDown, NXT. They kind of did this bit of a shakeup 3 years ago when SmackDown moved to Fox and they had Michael Cole and Corey Graves, and Raw, I think, still had a three-man booth. I think it was Vic Joseph, D.L. Madden, who's now Marceau in Maximum Male Models on SmackDown. I think it was those two, and I think Jerry Lawler, which was fucking awful because he's just terrible. That announce team did not last long. Hopefully the new announce teams on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT last a little bit longer. We were talking about it before we went live here as far as what might be temporary and stuff like that. I do want to get your takeaways, though. I already mentioned this to you before we went live here, but I'll reread it here for the show. I think it was the Wrestling, or rather Variety, going forward, they put up an article this afternoon revealing the new announce team changes. Jimmy Smith, unfortunately, leaving WWE. Not sure if that was his own choice, if his contract expired. We weren't 100% sure on that. I don't know if they want to go in a different direction. For all intents and purposes, I honestly thought he was really good. He's obviously made his fair share of mistakes, but not nearly as much as Adnan Virk and people before him. And, I like people like Tom Phillips and Vic Joseph, but, they have the voice for it, obviously. At the same time, it just kind of felt like that standard WWE, Michael Cole 2.0 type stuff, and I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of Vic Joseph on NXT at this point. I think he's fine, but I want like a truly great commentator. And the thing with Jimmy Smith, as we talked about when he first debuted a year and a half ago, he brought that sports legitimacy to the show, I thought. Like, he comes from the MMA, UFC, sports combat world, where it kind of feels like, not that you're watching that sort of stuff, but the timing couldn't be worse because we're getting Daniel Cormier in a fight pit on Saturday at Extreme Rules, so it kind of sucks that he's not going to be there for that unless his last day is at Extreme Rules, which it very well could be, I'm not sure. But, it's unfortunate that he's no longer there. But on the Raw announce team replacing him, we got Kevin Patrick, who most people may be familiar with. He was the backstage interviewer for the last year or so on Raw. He's also done Raw Talk. He's done a lot of other stuff. He's done commentary and main events, so he's not exactly new to it. But he's going to be the new voice of Monday Night Raw, apparently, alongside Corey Graves. Mike Rome remaining the ring announcer. Kathy Kelly coming back to WWE for the first time since early 2020. She and Byron Saxton, who was off the Raw commentary team, going to be doing backstage interviews. Which, another takeaway, by the way, no three-man booth on Mondays anymore. For the first time in probably, 10 years, no three-man booth. So I think that's a big positive change. I know they do that for the 3-hour show, but I don't care. I prefer the 2-hour. I prefer the two-man booth personally. SmackDown's going to have Michael Cole and Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett coming up from NXT. Pat McAfee, I assume, will replace Barrett when he comes back from college football season, probably the end of the year. Samantha Irvine doing the ring announcing, Kayla Braxton, Megan Morant, backstage interviewers, nothing new there. NXT is going to have Booker T on commentary with Vic Joseph. What a random fucking pairing. Alicia Taylor, ring announcer, Mackenzie Mitchell doing backstage interviewing. And Michael Cole and Corey Graves splitting the Raw and SmackDown duties on pay-per-view. So it's only going to be a two-man booth on pay-per-views too, starting, I would assume, at Extreme Rules with those two. And they've always worked well together on SmackDown and on Raw. So I just threw a lot at you, Mr. Marceau, but between the Jimmy Smith departure and some of the returning faces coming to Raw and SmackDown, what are your top takeaways from the commentary shakeup in WWE?
Yeah, I really like Jimmy Smith. Like you said, I feel like he was one of the better play-by-play guys, like you also mentioned. Like Tom Phillips and Vic Joseph, they're fine, but like you said, they scream like Michael Cole 2.0. So it was nice to have someone different in there. And like you said, I don't know if he's not renewed or if they just let him go or what's going on. But yeah, I mean, I like that it's a two-man booth though. I mean, I like Corey Graves. I'm not sure how him and Kevin Patrick will be together, but I'll let it at least see what it is first and then complain after the fact. Cole and Barrett, like you said, I think it's just temporary until Pat's back from college football. I like them anyway, so that'll be good. And then NXT is NXT. I'm not a big Vic Joseph guy, but I guess we'll see if he gets any better.
Were you ever a Booker T fan on commentary or no? Because I certainly was not.
No, yeah, I mean, to me, like him, Lawler, like Shivani, I feel like I put them all in the same category. Mm-hmm. They're kind of there for like noise. Like they don't put any actual insight in that actually matters.
You're telling me you didn't like Tony Schiavone cheering on the National Scissoring Day last night on Dynamite?
No, I do not. I throw Byron in there as well. Like they're just like the third announcer that literally brings zero to the match. It's just a waste of time.
Yeah, like Percy Watson was in NXT once upon a time.
Yes.
Yes, and a few other people in that role as well. But yeah, no, I agree. I don't really need someone like that on the commentary team, but hopefully it's only temporary. That being said, though, dude, I mean, I know Booker T is a name. He hasn't been on commentary in many years, I don't think. I think he was on the Raw commentary team maybe in 08, 07, or not 08, 2018, 2017, something like that. Where the fuck, as I mentioned to you earlier, is Nigel McGuinness? I think he still works there. He does their Level Up show, which is their NXT show on Hulu, I think. He does that show with them, so he's still there, I know. He wasn't let go, unless he has been let go, and I just don't know. But why would you put Booker T in that spot when you could just have Vic Joseph and Nigel McGuinness? That sounds like a perfectly fine combo for NXT. That just doesn't really make much sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's doing more behind-the-scenes things that we don't know about. That's what I would assume. Because besides that, I mean, like I said, Booker T's awful, so I don't know why you'd have him in the booth besides Nigel. So maybe he has other commitments, but besides that, there's no real excuse.
Yeah, especially now that NXT UK is done. Definitely a questionable choice. You looking forward to Kathy Kelly being back? Not excited or indifferent?
No, it's fine. I mean, as an interview, I really don't pay attention to them as much.
Yeah, I thought she always did a good job. She was always pretty big on like the social stuff as far as like .com and shit. As someone who pays attention to that stuff, I was always a fan of her. So I'm glad she's back. She always had that great chemistry and dynamic with Undisputed Era. So unfortunately, she's coming back to an Undisputed Era-less WWE. But I'm looking forward to seeing her on the Raw roster as an interviewer going forward. So some cool changes. I think it's perfect timing with the season premiere of Raw and SmackDown coming up in the next few days.